Hi guys, welcome back for episode number 68 of the weekly playback. I played a number of games which I really enjoyed in the last week. The first being Rebuilding Seattle. I already took off the cover and stuff, but so Rebuilding Seattle is a 2023 game for 1 to 5 players designed by Quinn Brander, and it's published by WizKids. For artist, it says not applicable, so I don't know what that means. Just by looking at the cover is really pretty. I actually really like the purple with like the gray and stuff, but for some reason I did not think I would enjoy it as much as I did, but I really love this game. Like, I think that this is a contender for a top 10 of 2023 game for me. So I really enjoyed it. So this is a city building game. So this is the main board, which keeps track of like everyone's points. And here is like the cost of some building cards. You're going to have building cards on top of these slots here. And then when these are uncovered, you can build these basic buildings if you want, once those are uncovered from the building cards. And then here is like a round tracker. And here you're going to have a bunch of tiles that you can purchase, because it's kind of like Barren Park, in which you're going to want to purchase these tiles to place next to your starting tile so that you can build more and more buildings. So each person is going to have a starting tile. They all are pretty much the same. The only difference is like this building on each tile is different. So there's different kinds of buildings. Blue is like entertainment, orange is like restaurants, green is like banks, pink is shopping, and yellow is transportation, and gray is universities, education. So you're going to have a bunch of different tiles of the different colors and different shapes. And then there's also going to be landmark tiles. So each person is going to start the game with 2 landmarks, which you'll have to build just like you would build any other building, so you'd have to pay the cost. But each person starts the game with 2 landmarks, which are personal to you, in front of you, so no one else can build your landmarks. And then when you have the money, and hopefully you can build them so that you can unlock some of the end game bonuses. So I had the public market and an indoor mall. So once I built those, I could go up on the indicated income track, because there are income tracks in this game, and then I would get those end game scoring abilities. So each person starts with a district. There are, I think 5 different districts to choose from, since it's a 5-player. No, actually, looks like there's 6 different districts to choose from. So I had Georgetown, and then there's a few other ones. And each person, depending on which district they choose, will have a different, actually, depending on which landmarks they chose, will have different, actually, maybe it's not the landmarks. How do you decide where you begin on the amenity track? I can't remember. But it looks like we all started with $8. And then there's like amenity tracks, and I cannot remember, but I had started out farther on one of the tracks than the other players, and I cannot remember why now, but I started out quite a bit farther than some of the other players. Let me just see why. Well, I don't remember, but but yeah, so yeah, I don't remember. I feel like I had started. Oh yeah, so it says the second set of cubes should be placed on their amenity track equal to how many of each of these symbols they have on their building tile in the starting neighborhood. Oh, that's right. So depending on your building tile, that will indicate where on your amenity tracks you'll be starting. So each person is going to have cubes of the 3 different colors on this track, as well as 1 population marker. You always want your cubes to be ahead of your population marker for when you score those different tracks, because if your population marker is ahead of the cubes, then you're not going to gain as much income. I don't know like how that works out. I can't figure out like why that is, but anyway, so that's how it is. And then you can go up the different income tracks when indicated, like if you build a certain building. There's going to be certain event cards, so these event cards will be out in every single round face up, and on your turn you can do one of the following actions. Oh, I forgot to mention that depending on player account, you're going to have maybe these underneath the main player board as well, with more building cards underneath them. So let me just show you some examples of building cards. There are different building cards for each round. So like here are some round 1 building cards. And like, so when you build, you can like, of course, place the top of the building that is indicated, and then you increase your amenity track based, like some of them have that you go up on your amenity track, not all of them. And then some of them have you going up on your income track, or they may provide like an additional ability, like during profit phase, you may be able to get more money based on how many of a certain type of building you have. So the different building cards provide different like benefits depending on, you know, what you have. And then there are some round 2 cards. So the round 2 cards look like this. So very similar, of course. And of course, again, you know, these are randomly placed on the board. So the cost is indicated there. So, and it's not like they replenish, so they don't replenish. So once someone buys a card, that spot is freed up. It's not going to like push down and more cards are not going to be coming out. But once these spots are freed up, then you're able to buy these basic buildings, which do come in handy for going up on the amenity tracks, which is nice. Because again, you want your cubes ahead of the amenity, the population marker. So yes, so where was I? So on your turn, you can either buy a suburb tile and or a building. So you can buy a suburb tile at the same time as a building, or just buy the suburb tile or just the building if you want. These always cost $4 unless you trigger an event, which may allow you to get it for cheaper. You can activate an event on your turn. So the events keep track of when the round ends. So there's only this many number of events, and once an event is completed, the person who activates it will get something, and then everyone will get something, including the person who activated it, and then you turn it upside down. And once all the events have been triggered, then the round ends. So there are different event cards, which you may want to activate because you may have run out of money, and you may have no way of getting money unless you activate an event, because each person's board does have a law marker, and once per round you can activate a law on your board. So mine had this one that said museum expansion, where I could gain $8, but I would also have to increase my population by 1. And again, you always want your amenity cubes ahead of your population so that during the income phase you'll get more money. So the population part kind of sucked, but yeah. Or you can enact 1 law. So on your turn, you can do one of the following. You can buy a suburb tile and or a building, activate an event, or enact 1 law. And then after the round is over, you just set up for the next round. It is a super fun game. Like, I really, really enjoyed it so much more than I thought I would. The events are fun. Like, so some of them, like there's one called Nature's Impact, and during round 1, each tree that you have visible in your player area from like this plus these will earn you money. So like once this is activated, all the players would get $1 for their trees. In round 2, if you had these water symbols, you would lose 1 population. So that was good because again, you want your population to be lower than your amenity cubes. And then in round 3, the mountains and trees were worth like points and dollars and stuff. But this is like a really fun game that, like, you know, you're trying to keep track of like how much money you have and what you can do, because you're keeping track of the events and trying to see like, is someone going to end the round soon by playing the last event card and stuff. I really, really enjoyed this game. It was really a lot of fun. I did not perform that well in it. I came in last place, of course, and typical. In all the games I've played in the last week, I came in last place. But yeah, this was a really good game. So if you like city building games, and if you like, I think I had called my game of Barren Park, but you know, I think the other players who I was playing with said it reminded them a little bit of Barren Park. I had called Barren Park, but I really enjoyed this game. Yeah, so I'm just seeing if I missed anything. Oh yeah, so after everyone has done everything and the round ends, before you clean up, you're going to have a profit phase. So you'll get $5 for each money symbol you have in your neighborhood. And then if you have any upgrade cards that allow you to get more money, you would also collect on those. Like this one, for example, this one would allow you to gain an extra $1 for each blue tile you have in your neighborhood as well. And then you refresh the building cards and reset your law discs, because you can enact a law once per round. Again, each person has a different set of laws they can enact on their own board, and then you update the round track. Yeah, so it says your tracks cannot exceed 5. No one in our game, I think, reached the top of any track, if I recall. But if you would exceed 5, instead you would immediately score 5 points for each number that you cannot increase by. And then at the end of the game, when you score, every $5 would convert to 1 point, rounding down. You would score every card that had end of game on it, and then so on. Yeah, but it was really, really good game. Yeah, so if you're looking for a good tile placement income game, highly recommend this one. I definitely want to play it again. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. Anyway, now you can watch me clean it up before I go on to the next game. But yeah, these tiles are cool. Like they have like cool like artwork and stuff on them, the landmark tiles. Oh, and let me just show you the cubes that everyone has. So everyone has 1 cube of each, no, sorry, 2 cubes of each color, 1 for the income track and 1 for the amenity trackers. And then these are the different player pieces. I like the colors actually. It's like purple, black, beige, and white. They're nice, cool colors. And then here are like some money. Yeah. And this was the first player marker. It was like a construction scaffolding thing. So yes. I think if this is a game you're going to play often, you might want to like, I don't know, create an insert which separates all of these tiles by shape, because that is something you have to do at the start of the game. And that was like the only like part of setup that was not fun, like having to separate all of those, because that was a little bit of a pain, but not a huge deal really. I'll show you the box in a minute once I get all these cards inside, so you can see what the box looks like. And it does have solo cards. Obviously I haven't played this solo yet, so I don't know what that's like. But it does come with solo cards as well. So yeah, so the box looks like this. You can place like your tiles like this, and that helps a little bit to keep it a bit organized. Okay. Alrighty, moving on. Oh, oops. Maybe I should have put those in first. Okay. Okay. Sorry. Almost done. Almost done. Alright, I can fix that up later if it needs fixing up. Alright, another game I played which was new to me, which I had bought a few weeks ago maybe, but I had not gotten a chance to play yet, is Namiji. So let me just pull up the information for Namiji. So Namiji is a 2022 game designed for 2 to 5 players, designed by Antoine Bauza, and the art is done by Xavier Guenifi-Durin, and it's published by Funforge Games. So this is a game in which it's like a point-to-point movement game. So you're going to have this like board with like, and you're going around the board. Let me see if I can show it to you. It's a really beautiful board. It reminds me of Petrichor, like beautiful white with like just lots of bright, vibrant colors on it. So you're going to be starting at the dock up here, and your boat is just going to be traveling along. It's one of those games where the person last in line will be taking their turn. So as long as you're in the last in position, it'll be your turn. So basically you are just, going fishing, and you're like, trying to catch different things and stuff like that, and just get the most points by doing that. So it's by the same people who did Tokaido, of course. So, there's point-to-point movement in this, there's set collection, yeah. So each person has their own board. And there's also like tile placement, because when you catch your fish, you're going to be placing them on here in order to try to maximize your number of points. So when you catch fish, if you do the catch fish action, if all your fish in a certain column or a certain row are of either the same color or the same type, then you will score the points indicated. So sometimes you just want to, if you catch the wrong kind of fish, you can just place them in the lower sections to try to just, not affect your big point scoring columns or rows. But you do have to place orthogonally adjacent to something that you've already placed. So that is a little bit difficult. But like here are some like fish tokens So you're going to have like a pile of these fish tokens face down with one face up to start the game. And on your turn, if you land on a fishing spot, you can either take the face up fishy, or you can take one fish and place that on your board, not knowing what you'll get, and then you turn another fish face up. So there's a bunch of different kinds of fish, like different shapes. So again, you want to have the same kind in a row or the same color. So there's yellow, blue, and green in different colors, and then the different kinds are like stingray, like this like eel looking fish, and then like a regular kind of looking fish. There's basically, so there's that. So that is where you would get your tile placement points. When you go fishing, you're going to have like these like paper boats covered up. So you want to try to eliminate your paper boats, because if you don't, you're going to lose points. So if you eliminate all of your paper boats, you won't lose any points. But if you only like eliminated one, you would like lose 10 points at the end of the game. If you only eliminated two, you would lose 6 points at the end of the game. If you didn't get rid of any, you would lose 15 points at the end of the game. There's a push your luck element to this. So if you land on a shrimp on the big board, then you can pull out these crustacean tokens. So you can pull out a maximum of 5, but if you pull out 2 crabs, you've busted and all of them have to go back in the bag. However, if you don't bust, then for each token you have, you can put on your board in the crustacean section and they'll be worth 1 point. There are these panorama cards that you can try to complete. So there's different kinds. So there's whales, there's dolphins, and octopus. So if you land on a panorama space of the type that's indicated, so they have different spaces on the board, like the octopus, you'd have to be on the octopus space. You could take the card starting with the lowest number, which would be 1, of course. Yeah, so you would take the octopus card, and then you are trying to create like this like really pretty panorama image. If you're the first person to complete a certain type, you'll get the bonus card, which is worth 3 points. So each animal has a bonus card. If you're the first person to complete that panorama, you'll get 3 points. So there's 3 different panoramas you can try to complete in this game. I don't think it's possible to complete like more than 2 if you're lucky, but who knows. There are these cards. Each person has like personal objective cards, and then which you can try to meet. I think you start the game with 1 or maybe 2. I can't remember. And you can try to gain more of these by landing on certain spaces. Or I think there's some other way to gain these. I don't remember how. And then there's these cards, dock cards. So once you reach a dock, you have to wait until everyone else gets there. So there's, let's see how many. There's the starting positions, and then there's 1, 2, then there's 3 docks. So once you've traveled along this part of the board, if you're the first person here, you stop there and you wait until the other players get there. And then you're going to draw a number of cards equal to the number of players plus 1. And if you're the first person there, you get to pick your card first. It's like some kind of a benefit of some kind. And then the next person there would get to pick a card, and then so on. But it's the last person who reached the dock who then gets to go first, because it's always the person at the end who gets to take their turn. And then you're going to do the same at this dock and then this dock. And then the game ends once you reach the starting position. It goes by way too quickly. Like, I feel like I was just getting started by the time the game was over. Like, I played a 3-player game of this and it was over much too quickly. I wanted it to last way longer than it did because I enjoyed it. It's a pleasant game. You're just, traveling around this board, doing different things. You're either going fishing, you're trying to complete a panorama, you're, pushing your luck with the crustacean tokens. It's fun. It's a really fun, pretty game, but it just ends way too quickly. By the time the game ended, I had completed 1 panorama of the octopus. I didn't fill up my board as much as the other players did of fish tokens. And yeah, So I don't know, you know, and I did manage to get rid of all of my paper boats though, because I had a special card that when I landed on a paper boat spot, I could get rid of 2 instead of 1. So that was really beneficial to me, because otherwise I would have been screwed, because I only happened to land on that spot twice. And if someone else is at a spot, you can't land at that spot then. So you can't land on a spot that someone else is at, unless you are playing with, I believe, like a 4 or 5 player game. Then if you have like 2 of those dots, then you can, you know, have 2 people in a location, but otherwise you can't. But yeah, this game just went by too quickly. I just really wanted it to last longer. I just really wanted to be able to do more stuff. It is so pretty. It's just really such a, you know, aesthetically pleasing game. It's just very pleasant. It's just a very pleasant game to play. I mean, you know, it's just like a very relaxing game. There's not like a whole lot of strategy to it, because, you know, where you can go really depends on where other players are going and stuff like that too. But I played Tokaido many years ago, so I don't remember much about Tokaido, but I think it was kind of similar, but instead you're traveling along a road, I think. But I just really wanted this to last a lot longer than it did. That's my only, you know, complaint about the game. But yeah, it's not like super strategic, I would say. It's a pretty easy game to play. Yeah, so that was Namiji. I did see that the deluxe edition comes with these really pretty boats. This one, like miniature boats that you can paint. This one just came with like wooden components, because I don't have the deluxe edition. So those were like the wooden components that mine came with. So yeah, my 2 friends that I played with really liked it, and they went and bought the game the day after we played it. So yeah. Another game that I played recently, but not in the last week, but before then, is Forest of Pangaia. So let me just talk about that. So Forest of Pangaia is a 2022 game. I did cover this for its Kickstarter, and so I got in my production copy. It's for 2 to 4 players. It's designed by Thomas Franken, and there's a few different artists, and it's published by Pangaia Games. This is an area majority like pattern building game. I really enjoy this game, so it was nice to be able to play with my production copy. Oh, the box has some artwork on the inside. That's really pretty. One thing that was really cool about this game was when it came, the cards were not in plastic. They try to be very environmentally friendly. So the cards came in like paper envelopes, which I thought was really cool. I did go ahead and sleeve everything though. So each player is going to have a board, a different board, and you're going to have like different like treetops and tokens on your board. So let me just show you an example of some players' tokens and stuff. Oops. So it comes with these nice little bags filled with all your player pieces and stuff. So like different trees, and you're going to be like upgrading your trees by like, you know, you can make them grow taller and stuff like that. There is, each person has like a spirit animal that they're, you know, basically you're using to go around different parts of the board. Yeah, and then there are some small tokens, which I cannot find right now. But basically, you are going to be constructing a map based on the instructions, like this. And you are going around trying to basically plant trees, and then there's different goal cards. So I will say strategically, not that I'm a master of strategy because I lose most games I play, but there's going to be these different cards, these ritual cards that are available. You're going to have one secret one at a time, I think, if I remember correctly. And then there's going to be some that are just available in a row. It's more strategic and better for you to complete, if you do on your turn decide to complete a ritual, to complete one of the face-up ones rather than the one that you're hanging on to personally, because one of the game man triggers is like the ritual cards are depleted. So basically, let me just see. So on your turn, you basically have 3 phases. You're going to grow seeds that you had planted during your previous turn and collect new resources based on where your seeds are, because there's different kinds of resources that you can collect in this game. Let me see if they're in here. No. Where are the resources? Oh, in here. So yeah, so there's like different, so some of these are point tokens, but let me see if I can. The wooden components are really nice in this game. So I'll show you an example. So here's like example of like point tokens. And then here are some resources you can collect. Oh, there we go. I dropped something. So yeah, so depending on where your trees are and stuff, you can grow your seeds, and then you're going to collect resources, and you need resources to then do other things. Then you can do a spirit action. So your spirit action is going to be either to plant, to rest and get some resources, or to pray, which is when you complete a ritual card and get some points. When you pray and complete a ritual card, you're then going to decay. So all the trees that were used to complete a certain ritual are going to decay, and they'll decay different amounts depending on what kind of ritual you completed. So like different rituals may require you to have like a certain number of like tall trees in a certain location. They may require you to have like one center tree with like some trees around it in that kind of location. It may require you to form a line between two different kinds of locations. So there's different kinds of rituals, and when you complete a ritual, the trees that were in that ritual are going to decay. And also you can sometimes use trees in another person that belong to another person, if I remember correctly. So so another player's trees can be affected, and you can get like points from them. Their trees won't decay. Instead, they'll get a resource. So for example, the ritual. So you would receive a point for each of your trees on the trail, regardless of their level. And you would also receive 1 point for every level 1 opponent tree on the trail. You don't score for opponent trees of level 2 or higher. Instead, their owners receive resources. So certain rituals allow you to use other people's trees, and then you would score points and they would get resources. So you may want to try to, so it is strategic, like when you're completing these rituals and trying to like see which trees you're using, hopefully you don't want to use your opponent's trees and stuff. It's a really nice tile. It's a, it's a really nice area control kind of game. There's different, I don't know what those are. Weather cards. I don't think we played with weather cards. I think there's like different modules you can play with. So I don't think we played with those. And then it looks like there's a solo mode. There are personal achievement cards as well. Or no, sorry, not personal. These were public. So there's like 3 public achievement cards, I think, that you can try to achieve as well. So like most connected trees, most trees on sunlands, most adjacent lakes, and so on. So there's different achievement cards you can also try to complete. So yeah, so Forest of Pangaia is a really nice tree game. If you've played something like Evergreen, it's, kind of reminds me a little bit of that. It's still different enough though that you could justify having both games, I think. So yeah, so I really like Forest of Pangaia, and it's, got really nice components and everything too. So this is a good game. What else did I play? So I finally played a game, and I felt like I was the only board gamer who had not yet played this game, but I finally played Wingspan. So for some reason, I love birds, but Wingspan just never appealed to me. And just maybe, I don't want to be one of those people who's like, oh, because a game, is so widely loved that, I'm not going to play it because like everyone loves it. But for some reason, I just never felt interested in playing Wingspan, even though I love birds. But I finally managed to play it yesterday. So it's an engine building game for 1 to 5 players that came out in 2019, designed by Elizabeth Hargrave, and there's a few different artists, and is published by Stonemaier Games. So yeah, it's an engine building, like hand management kind of game with like some end game bonuses and stuff like that. I'm not going to describe it because I'm sure everyone else has played it already. If you're a hobby board gamer, chances are you've probably played this game. But for some reason, it just never appealed to me, and I never felt the need to play it. I'm glad I played it, so I'm glad I can finally say I played Wingspan. I enjoyed my play of it. It was a nice, pleasant game, but having played Earth first and having actually purchased Earth, which I'll talk about in a minute, I don't think I'll feel the need to add this game to my collection. I do think Earth and Wingspan and several other people have made that comparison as well before, who had played both games. I guess, you know, now that I've played both, I can see the similarities, and I don't think I'll need to add Wingspan to my collection. So speaking of Earth, I did play Earth again. So I went to the game store last night. They have a Friday night game night, and so they do this thing, it's called Play and Learn or something like that. They showcase a game, and if you play that game, you have the opportunity to try to win that game. So last night's game was Earth, so I went to see if I could try to win it. I did not win it, so I ended up just buying it instead. I ended up ordering it online, not buying it from that game store because they didn't have the deluxe version and I wanted the deluxe version. So anyway, so I ended up playing Earth again and buying the game. So I just didn't feel the need, I don't feel the need to add Wingspan to my collection since I'm adding Earth to my collection. So yeah, so I did play Earth again last night. I played a shortened version of it because they had a lot of people that wanted to play the game. They had 3 copies out, and so they created their own like short variant of the game, where instead you would create a 3x3 grid instead of a 4x4 grid of your island cards. So it made it more difficult to achieve the objectives with just 3x3 cards instead of 4x4. So I did not find it as enjoyable with their shortened version. But I'm excited to add Earth to my collection. I really, really enjoyed Earth. If you have Earth, I would like to know, do you sleeve the cards for Earth? You know, typically I'm a sleever, but there are over 300 cards in that game. That is a lot of cards. I don't know. I guess when my game arrives, I'll see if they would fit into the box sleeved or not. And I don't know if I'll sleeve them. I don't know. We'll see. That would be quite pricey to do that. So yeah, so I played Earth again. Another game I played recently, so I played a number of games that I've discussed before, which I've played before, so I'll just mention them briefly. I played a 3-player game of Bamboo, which I really liked. So when I previously played Bamboo by Dowagers games, I played a 2-player game, and in the 2-player game, you have to add in those extra components, which kind of like acts like a 3rd player, which in Bamboo was fine, but I actually really liked Bamboo as a 3-player game. It was really, really good, and I think it's also a contender for a top 10 of 2023 game for me. Like, I really, really love Bamboo, so I was happy to play that again. I played Speakeasy Blues again. I played that at 3 players, which I really enjoyed. Played another game of Rome in a Day. So, you know, I've played Rome in a Day a lot of times already, and this time I played a 5-player game of it, so that was nice. I played Deadly Dowagers again, which was fun. I really enjoyed Deadly Dowagers. And then I played Reef, which is a game by Emerson Matsushi. So it's the game where you're planting like different corals and trying to complete different coral objective cards. I performed very badly in that game. In that game, I feel like the end game trigger comes too soon, because once a pile of coral, there's 4 different coral colors, and then once one coral color is depleted, you know, that triggers the game end. So yeah. So that game is kind of challenging because like when you're placing coral, you can't like remove coral from the board, but you're trying to complete these different objective cards where coral are like in different shape and like stuff like that and of different heights. So you have to work with what you already have and try to get new coral pieces. And yeah, it's a nice little game. So if you like, you know, like games in which you're trying to make different kinds of patterns and shapes and stuff, and yeah, you might enjoy Reef. I actually bought that game just before the pandemic started, and I hadn't played it since 2020, since like February or March of 2020. So it'd been a very long time since I played it. Moving on. Oh my gosh, I'm terrible. I again forgot to bring the games that I've received recently. So I'll show them in the next video, I promise, because like 2 of them I haven't even unboxed yet again. So recently I've received Darwin's Journey, my collector's edition. So I'm excited. I hope I'll get to play that sometime soon. And then I received Marrakesh in New York from the Stefan Feld collection. So I'll show those next time because I still haven't unboxed those anyway. So so maybe next time I'll show those. So games that I am backing. So I'm currently not backing anything except for what I mentioned before. So again, I'm backing Fractured Sky, which ends on May 1st, and they recently crossed $1 million, which is crazy. So they're currently at $1,037,446 with over 8,500 backers. So yeah, so this campaign ends on May 1st. So if you want to get Fractured Sky, you know, you'll probably need to pledge for it soon because it's going to end soon. But I imagine that they would have late pledges. I can't imagine that they wouldn't do late pledges, but who knows? I can't say that for sure. But yeah, they've unlocked a bunch of stuff. Again, you know, unless it's a game we're going to play a lot, I don't know if it's worth, you know, to spend a lot of money to get the deluxe edition. I made my video and I played with the non-deluxe edition and it was fine. So, you know, I guess it depends on whether you think it's a game that you're going to play a lot or not. And then you can determine which like edition to get based on that. So yeah, so Fractured Sky is ending soon. And then there's Pioneer Rails, which is ending on May 17th. So there's still quite a bit of time for Pioneer Rails. Let's see what they're at right now. So Pioneer Rails is currently at, oh wow, almost $36,000. So they have like 1,200 backers and they're almost at $36,000. So they're doing pretty well. I wonder if they have any stretch goals. I do not know. Again, if you get this game, I highly recommend laminating the sheets because they're really hard to write on, and then just using wet erase or dry erase markers. So yeah, so they have stretch goals which they've unlocked, like the cardstock is going to be thicker, there's a new map that they've unlocked, a UV spot on the box, new gold cards, thicker box material. Thicker boxes are always nicer. An added eraser, which is kind of pointless because I, again, don't think you're going to want to use the pencils. I think you're definitely going to want to laminate these sheets and use marker because the sheets are just too hard to write on. There's going to be a bigger dealer token, and then there's still one more stretch goal for new gold cards if they reach that. So yeah, so they're doing pretty well. And then I'm backing those how to draw books, which I mentioned last time. So moving on, I'm currently still in the process of unboxing, taking out a lot of my games from boxes. I still have a lot of boxes in my sister's basement actually too, so there's still a lot of games that I haven't unpacked yet. Those boxes have been in my sister's basement even before I bought my house. So even before I moved, because my apartment was just so small, and so I had just packed up a bunch of games in boxes and put them in her basement. So I have to go pick those up. I'm planning on doing that this month, and slowly bringing them over and packing all of those games, and I really have no idea where they're gonna go because I've already run out of space. So I need to buy more bookcases or another Kallax unit or something. So we'll see. But as I begin to unpack those, I'm sure I'll start having more games to cull because yeah, this is just too many games. Updates. So as mentioned before, I'm going to UKGE in June. So towards the end of May, I'll be going to London, and then like last year, I was planning on taking the train into Birmingham in the morning and then coming back to London in the evening, which I really enjoy doing. I get really exhausted at conventions, and I'm not someone who's gonna stay up late at night playing games with people in a hotel room or a hotel lobby or anything like that. I just want to, at the end of a day, eat dinner and unwind and just relax and watch TV or something. I do not want to play games until 1 or 2 in the morning. I just do not have the energy for that. Conventions are exhausting for me. So, I was happy with last year with taking the train in the morning and then coming back in the evening to London and having dinner somewhere in London and then just doing the same thing again the next day. However, there's now a train strike, so there's going to be no train operation on the second day of the convention that I was planning on attending. So I only attended 2 days of the convention last year anyway, and I was going to do the same thing this year. I was only going to attend 2 days, and now one of those 2 days the trains won't be working. So I do not know how I'm going to get to Birmingham from London. And it's going to be quite a pain because, if I end up getting games to carry, I don't know what I'm gonna do. So if you live in the UK, if you have any suggestions what I can do on June 3rd which is the date I believe that there is a scheduled train strike. Please let me know if you have any suggestions on how I can get to Birmingham on Saturday, June 3rd. So it looks like the trains will be running on Friday, June 2nd. So I was planning on going Friday and Saturday. So if you have any suggestions, please let me know. I was not planning on going on Sunday, and I still don't want to go on Sunday because I have my flight early Monday morning, and I just don't want to risk anything by traveling to Birmingham the day before my flight. Like, I just think that's too much. So I was planning on not going on that Sunday and just, you know, enjoying one last relaxing day in London before my flight, which is early Monday morning on June 5th. So if you are in the UK and you have any suggestions, and you might be like, well, you lived in London, Sarah, so you should know. No, you know, when I lived in London, I hardly, like, I think I went to Birmingham once, so I don't know what I can do to get to Birmingham. If the trains are not working, I guess I can look into a bus. I don't know how long that would take though, and if it's even worth it to go on a bus to Birmingham and then take the bus back. Like, I cannot imagine how long that would be. I'm just hoping that they resolve this before and that there is no strike on June 3rd. So it would really suck to be able to go only one day. So yeah, so I guess that's an update. So if you're watching and you're planning on going to UKGE, if you have any suggestions at all, please let me know. I would really appreciate it. Moving on, so I guess questions and commentary. I don't really ever get any questions, but I'll ask you guys a question. I wanted to know, what is your favorite engine building game? And when I was playing at the game store yesterday, I had mentioned to the players who I was playing with. So I played Wingspan with the same 3 people, and then we moved on to play Earth, and I played Earth with the same 3 people. And I mentioned to them how I had heard that Earth is a Wingspan killer, like, you know, and when I said that, like, one person just got like really like, no, it's not. And he just got really defensive, even though it was his first time playing Wingspan last night as well. Like, he had also never played Wingspan before, and it was his first time playing Earth, but he got like super defensive of Wingspan, even though he had only just played it for the first time. We were like in the middle of the game of Earth when I said that. So we were like in the middle of Earth when I said to him, like, oh, some people say that this game is a Wingspan killer, and we had just finished our game of Wingspan earlier, and he just became super defensive of a game that he had just played for the first time, which I thought was a bit funny. But I was like, listen, I'm just telling you what I've heard. I'm not saying that I believe it. I'm not saying that it's true. I'm just telling you what I heard. So, you know, I just want to know what you guys think about that. If you've played both games, do you think that Earth is a Wingspan killer? And do you think certain games can ever kill or replace other games entirely because they have like similar mechanics, maybe even similar themes, or maybe they're executed better? I just want to know your whole, you know, your opinion on this whole thing, whether certain games can kill or replace other games, and whether they have for you in the past. Is there a game that has certain mechanics or maybe even a certain theme that you thought just did it better than another game and just killed another game completely for you, so that you didn't feel the need to have that other game anymore? I think that this is something that happens quite often. In fact, I think it's pretty common, right? I mean, I think that this is why people tend to call games, because other games come out which maybe do it better, or just, you know, check off some other box that maybe that other game didn't. You know, maybe something clicks a little bit better in a certain game. So I think that this is something that does happen. I'm sure it's happened for me. I can't think of any examples right now, but I'm pretty sure that I've, you know, called a game. I definitely have. So like Barren Park, which is what I had talked about earlier, like the Grand Carnival, I thought was just a better game. Like, it was a polyomino game in which you're, you know, placing tiles, and I just liked it better than Barren Park, so I called Barren Park for my collection. So I do think certain games just, you know, you may like better, you may like the aesthetic better, the mechanics may work better for you. So I just want to know your guys' opinion on that. Sorry if this video just seemed all over the place. I know my thoughts were not very well put together when I was explaining Rebuilding Seattle, which, you know, it's a shame because it's such a good game. So I just feel like I did not do it justice. So hopefully I'll play it again, and then I'll talk about it again in another video. But I really, really enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to playing it again. So until next week, bye.